Can I open my beer yet?
Oh, here we go. Welcome to another episode with Mr. Spencer. No. Okay, welcome to another episode of BFF. And today, or this episode, we have Iowa Brewing Company Surf Zombie Z's IPA made with Iowa hops. So it's a brewery we found out is in Cedar Rapids. So we're going to try it out and taste it, and Spencer here, who loves Busch lattes, is going to let us know what he thinks about IPAs after this one.
I'll give you a very detailed description. Like I'm a professional beer taster.
Whoops.
Oh, it's fine. Woody's got it.
Yeah, I was going to say Woody's here to clean up.
Yeah, Woody's on the floor.
Oh.
If anyone needs a visual.
Maybe I should put on my headset.
There you go.
So you can hear us a little bit better, right, Kit?
Just say when.
Say when.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Never had this one.
That's really good.
Okay. It's got aggressive hops, and I feel like it attacked my tongue.
It's kind of creamy.
It is.
Like compared to your average IPA.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Actually, you're right. It is creamy. Is this supposed to have an aftertaste of some sorts?
I feel like most IPAs punch me in the mouth, and this one's more of a love tap.
Oh yeah, I think we had an episode. We were talking about the bitterness stuff.
Yeah,
it's not. See, a lot of people. We're talking about this before, but a lot of people misconstrue that once it's hoppy, it's super strong beer. It's not. It's just the hoppiness.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with alcohol. It's sugar.
Although there are some IPAs that'll knock you on your butt.
True, especially the double IPAs.
Yeah, double IPAs. I had that like Super Sumo from Toppling Goliath.
It's a Supa Sumo?
Yeah, something like that.
Just had to make sure you weren't slurring your words, and that was actually the name of it.
Super Sumo. I think that's what it's called.
Does it have a big fat guy on it?
It does. It has a sumo wrestler on there.
Well, at least it's as advertised then.
Yeah, it's like 8.2% or something.
Holy crap.
Yeah, alcohol.
That's a lot. Like a Blonde Fatale.
Yeah.
Which at Peachtree Brewery in Knoxville, Iowa. It's close to where I grew up.
That's a great... Actually, that's one of the better blondes out there, I think. I really love Peachtree.
And 3 will put you to bed. Yeah.
Because I think it is about 9%.
It's like 8 or 9, yeah.
So you can just imagine you drink 2 of those. That's literally like drinking 4 Busch lattes.
Or you drink 3 Blonde Fatales, and it's like 9. Well, actually, Busch Light's 4, so it would be like twice as many. It'd be a 6-pack. Yeah,
6-pack.
Yeah, and I learned anything that says imperial or blonde, any type of beer that has any of those 2 words, they're gonna mess you up.
Gotcha.
Imperial's like or the barrel aged.
I think that's what it is. The whiskey beers. Yeah. Boone Valley makes one of those, and it's 8 or 9%.
There you go.
I don't like the flavor so much
because it has that whiskey.
It does.
You might as well drink whiskey, in my opinion.
Exactly. And my whiskey days are over. It's for the better for this world too.
Well, my in-laws love whiskey, and I can't stand it, man. It's not my thing. A lot of people can just sit there and sip on whiskey.
Jack and Cokes used to be my thing. Not anymore.
Before we just got on this episode, you were talking about panfish. Spencer loves panfishing, so
out of necessity.
I love to put panfish on a 10-aught J-hook. That's what I love. But in order to put them on that big J-hook, I got to catch them first.
There you go. Yeah, you like panfishing. I think the most recent episode, you were catching some crappies right now. It's good times for crappies, right?
It can be.
I don't know. I haven't caught.
I can say it's a good time, and then that doesn't mean you're gonna go out and catch them.
That's true. What do you recommend? So right now, anybody who's gonna panfish right now, where would you attack?
You seem so negative when you said that. We need to put a positive spin on life.
I know, man.
Now is a great time to catch crappies. Here's how you do it.
I mean, well, they're spawning, and if you want to catch crappies, now is the best time to do it.
See, that's so positive. I like that so much more.
Yeah. And then the bluegills, they're staging up too. So like right after the crappies spawn, bluegills are going to be right behind them. So if you want to get on a bluegill bite, now's the best time to do it.
I was watching them do it when I went out to catch bait the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the crappies were on nests and the bluegills were harassing them, but hanging out in the shallows like they're getting ready to bed up themselves.
Nice. So when you guys catch those panfish, like when you cut for cut bait, is there a specific spot of the fish that you cut and you put on your hook for like when you go catfishing and stuff? Like, do you use the head? Do you use the tail end of? I mean, is there a specific cut part of that fish that you believe is the most?
I mean, a lot of it depends on the day. If they're real aggressive, the head chunk is a great big fish bait, but the guts can be real good. So if you take a midsection when they're kind of more chilled out, not as aggressive, the guts have a lot of scent and pulling fish from a long ways. So you take that middle piece with the guts in it and you hook it through the guts and then back out through the stomach, and that keeps those guts in there, and that all that scent really pulls fish in more.
I never thought of that, because I usually...
Well, you never catfish.
Coming from a non-catfisher.
Wait, am I supposed to introduce myself for this one?
Nah, it's part 2.
Oh,
Do
part
you
2.
need introduction?
I don't think so.
Who doesn't know this guy?
That's what I'm saying, you know.
At least 8 billion people.
I was just thinking
Or
it was
7
like,
billion.
7
and change.
at least from Iowa. Maybe there's like 5 people that don't know.
That know me.
But in case you were wondering, we do have Spencer from River Certified for another episode that we decided to go on because we really do enjoy your company, man.
You like my kitchen table?
It's pretty cute.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Ella picked it out. I can't take any credit. Ella's my wife.
I thought you picked it out.
No, that was all her. Can't take credit. It'd be, immoral of me.
But yeah, I was just thinking, I had no idea. I think I saw your last episode that you posted was the guts. I usually just cut the fish and throw the guts away. No, seriously.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when I catfish, what's going to stay on the hook the longest?
Sure.
I don't have to redo it. So I go with the body with the scales, whatever, and just cook it through there. The skin, it'll stay on there forever.
A lot of times it's just a time of year thing, and what kind of mood the fish are in. If the fish are not in a real positive feeding mood, fishing with guts, even for big fish, can be really good. As the water gets warmer and fish get more aggressive, I would say fillets or head pieces or just body chunks are your best bet for your bigger fish, where the smaller fish get to the guts first, because there's more small fish than there are big fish. But it never hurts to try.
Oh, let me ask you this. I joined one of these Facebook groups. It's boatless catfishing.
Mm-hmm.
Like every day I see people posting about like what baits to use.
Yep.
And one thing I always see come up are like these concoction homemade like Jello, chicken, garlic powder.
Yeah.
How do you feel about those baits?
I mean, anything works.
Yeah, I mean,
at some point in time.
Yeah, I agree. They'll catch fish, but it's like, why not give the fish what they would normally eat anyway?
That's the way I feel. And to me, it's a percentage thing. Like, you could catch something on anything, especially catfish. And they have the reputation of being bottom scavengers for a reason, because at times they really are. And even when they tend to be very aggressive, you'll still find a fish will eat, random crap. But for the most part, if you want to target big fish and consistently catch big fish, you got to use natural type stuff, because that's what they're accustomed to eating.
How come I was always taught to use chicken liver?
I mean, if you want your hands to smell like crap.
Yeah.
And then all the little gnats that swarm all over you once you open the chicken liver thing.
I was taught to use chicken liver when I was younger, like the catfish, like you use frozen chicken liver, and then the melts, and then when you put on the hook, it becomes pud.
Right. Turtles love it though. I've caught a lot of snapping turtles on chicken livers.
You ever heard that one?
Yeah. Like that group, like that's one of the baits. Catfish liver, beef liver, hot dogs, all these homemade stuff. Like,
tell you what, I beat up the channel cats on hot dogs and farm ponds.
Hot dogs?
Yeah, I have no idea why. I don't use them in moving water or big water very much. They don't stay on the hook very well, but in small environments like ponds, go get you a 99-cent pack of hot dogs and go to town.
That's a good tip. I had no idea hot dogs that would work.
Yeah, you just take a chunk like inch or two long, run your hook straight through it, then bring it back out on the outside casing. Stays on okay. If you get one little bump, it's gone.
Yeah.
Reel in a recast.
That sucks, but okay. Hot dogs, guys.
Yeah. I wouldn't use them in a big river. I'd stick with cut bait or live bait.
Yeah, cut bait is king in my book.
I will say, though, at times, the dip baits can knock them dead.
The dip baits, can
like
you...
stink bait, like the stuff in the jar, and you take the worm and push it in, and it coats the worm.
So that works.
That does for like eaters.
Really?
You know, like your 1 to 3 pounders. There's times where you can just beat them up with that if you want to catch 1 to 3 pounders. But that's not really my thing, so I don't use it very much. But yeah, I've seen, especially late in the summer when the water's warm, you can fish small streams or little inlets off of reservoirs that concentrate small fish and go out for 6-8 hours and catch 100.
What's your favorite fish? Catch.
My favorite, dude, I like to catfish here because they get big. My favorite fish is a big fish. Big fish that fights hard. Like if I was on the East Coast, I'd probably fish for stripers. Yeah. If I grew up in Canada, I'd be a muskie guy. I'm in the Midwest, so I fish for catfish.
How do you feel about carp?
I don't know why they don't trip my trigger. They get big, they fight hard. It's just, I think the other part is the chase.
That's true.
Like flatheads, you go on a freaking adventure to catch them, at least in Iowa. Other places, it's not a big deal. You can go stack flatheads, but Iowa isn't like that. Muskies, it's not like that anywhere. And I think the challenge and the adventure is what draws me as much as anything. Stripers, yeah, there's times where you can get blitzes, but if you want to catch big ones, like 30 to 50 pounders, everything I understand about it, and I've never tried it, but I read up on it because big fish interests me. It's kind of a lots of casts, long wait kind of deal. And I would want to do that from the surf. I wouldn't want to do it out of a boat. I like fishing off the bank. Boats are fun. Probably have a boat someday, but it's all a means to an end. Like boat makes you more efficient, so I would get a boat. But I like kayak fishing. I like fishing off the bank better.
Cool. And you love wipers too, right?
I love wipers.
Oh, wipers are the best. Who doesn't love wipers?
Here we go. See, you see how excited these guys got?
People who hate fun.
Yeah.
That's who hates wipers.
And
oh, you want to have a good time? No. Well, then you obviously don't want to wiper fish then either.
So I think pound for pound, would you say they're one of the best?
I've caught true ocean run stripers out in Tennessee. I mean, they're landlocked, but they're stocked and they're ocean run fish. And pound for pound, they don't fight as hard as a hybrid. If a hybrid got 50 pounds, I would give up catfishing. I really would. All I would do is chase hybrids.
See, that's the thing. Like a lot of,
I shouldn't say that because I fish for everything, but I would.
As long as it's big, right?
I would fish for hybrids a lot more.
Where, because we have an abundance here, which is awesome. I love it in Iowa, which is great. But I didn't even realize like a lot of like Illinois, because one of my vendors,
they have great hybrid fishing.
Yeah, and some other places though they don't have.
Well, I mean, there's a reason so many people from Minnesota travel to Iowa. You know, they have really good white bass fishing in Minnesota, but no hybrids, or very few. None that I know of. I'm sure there's got to be a few somewhere, but none that I know of.
Is there a reason? I mean, they stock those, right? They don't. Do they?
I just wonder if they don't do that well up north.
Yeah, I feel like South Dakota, they have like great white bass fishing, but you don't hear about wipers up there either.
Even in Manitoba, like you watch Uncut Angling and they beat up on the white bass up in Manitoba, but
no wipers.
No wipers.
Why is that?
It's got to be the striper side of them.
Yeah.
Because stripers don't do well in Iowa, but hybrids do. So I wonder if it's enough white bass in them to keep them going good here, and we're just at the northern end of their range.
I think we're very blessed to have them.
Oh, absolutely. And the why isn't as important as we get to catch hybrids.
Yeah.
So if anybody's listening to this who's never got an opportunity to catch a wiper, I mean, this is my goal, is to catch a double-digit wiper. I've never caught a double-digit wiper.
What?
No, I haven't. In Iowa, I haven't. The biggest wiper.
You mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought so.
Like a couple of years ago, I hit like, I think it was a 13 and 15 in the same week.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was a good week.
Yeah.
So I haven't. So you guys need to get me on. When the wiper bites hot, I'm definitely. I told my wife
10-pound hybrid fights like a 20-pound flathead.
that's my goal.
Well, actually, they fight completely different, but I feel like a 10-pound hybrid fights harder than a 20-pound flathead.
So see,
the speed, you can't replace the speed. Like they're so fast.
It's when you're real go. Bzzz,
Yeah, it sounds almost like a weed eater. It's not even a reel anymore.
for like a full 15 seconds.
Yeah, like they rip 50 yards off, and I feel like I'm fishing saltwater again.
That's what I'm saying. I think the biggest whitebear I caught was a 7-pounder,
That's a good one.
and it pulled. So that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I can just imagine what a
Yeah.
10-pound feels. That's my goal. That's why.
Yeah, you did pretty good on wipers recently, haven't you?
I had a good day,
Yeah.
and it was so hit or miss because I went back the next day and it was one fish.
Oh, dude, I was there on, what was it, Thursday? Maybe Wednesday. Yeah, that day I texted you.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't get I had like one bite, caught 2 little white bass or something.
It makes you wonder if do they leave or do they quit eating? Deep. We're getting deep.
Yeah, because it was, we had a cold front. Well, I mean,
Cold fronts screw them up.
yeah, the weather's been kind of crummy in Iowa. Like it's sunny outside right now.
This is the first time
Yeah.
I've seen sun
Since like a week.
in 3 damn days. Like, is that copyrighted? Do you have to cut that out?
3 damn days.
Yeah. You never heard that song? Kid Rock, Sheryl Crow?
No, I'm not a Kid Rock fan. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, like the sun's maybe peaked out once or twice since last week, but this is like the sunniest day, and we got forecast for thunderstorms tonight.
that's fine. We need rain.
We do.
The flatheads need rain.
Here we go. That's you guys gotta. I gotta go out with these guys more often, man. I'm gonna have to tell.
You have gone out with me wiper fishing, but then you didn't catch any.
I caught a lot of rocks.
We
Yeah.
we can bring you. That's one thing, but catching, that's a different story.
That's the one thing I appreciate about the hybrids and the flatheads is you can know. It's like you can come up with all the X's and O's, but if you can't execute, it don't matter.
And that's the thing, because I do ask you guys, or ask Kit for tips. Like, I see him catch the wipers, and he doesn't snag as much.
Yeah.
And it's because, it's a specific way when you're fishing.
Yeah,
for
it's
them.
like how you're working your lure.
Exactly.
Yep.
And I have an issue with that because I'm not, first to tell you, I'm not the greatest fisherman out there, but I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to, catch a fish. But yeah, it makes a darn difference on your fun factor when you don't have to retie and lose jigs.
Yeah, snagging is frustrating.
It is. Yeah. It is.
I would say that's probably the biggest turnoff when it comes to fishing for people who, whether it's kids or people getting into fishing, is because one, you snag and then you lose your lure, which is money, and then you have the retie, which takes time. And I think patience is probably the biggest attribute a person should have when it comes to fishing, I guess you can say.
When I made that video of me catching them hybrids, I went out the next day, and even when I was catching them, I snapped off the 3 1-ounce bucktails I had with me. So I stopped at a sporting goods store and bought $30 in bucktails and lost them all the next day.
Oh, boy.
And and I know what I'm doing, and I do it a lot. I have plenty of experience, and I still burned $30 in bucktails in one day. And the worst part about that on top of it is I make my own. And I just didn't have them with me. I had 2 dozen 1-ounce bucktails on the rack at home. I just didn't realize I was going to need them heading down there. And you had to reach out and touch them. And if you couldn't get to them, you weren't catching them.
But you were catching some nice ones on that video, man.
They're fun. That big one he was one of the biggest. He's the biggest one I've caught this year.
Those double digits for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think I've had a couple flirting with 10 pounds, but he was over 10 for sure.
Yeah, because I can see all the people starting to swarm around you.
That guy that straight up stood in your spot.
I had friends,
Man.
So if people are listening to this and wondering, well, on the YouTube channel, I'll definitely put that link to Spencer's video on that one. But it was pretty funny to see Spencer turn around to show the fish to the camera and look right behind him, and there's literally a guy casting right behind him.
Right where I was standing.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God.
It was pretty funny.
But that's what, so a lot of people are wondering, what's combat fishing? That's combat fishing.
That is.
If you guys are wondering.
There's a certain mystique that goes with elbow to elbow fishing. I kind of enjoy it at times. Like I want to get away from everybody at times, but then I'll want to go back and deal with that crap. And I just kind of soak it up. Like I love a little chaos. Too much solitude makes me go a little crazy. I have to have a little bit, but if things stay too quiet for too long, I go a little crazy.
There's a satisfaction when guys are trying to encroach on your spot and you catch a big fish and then they don't.
Yeah. There's a dude in Florida who makes YouTube videos. His name's Lunker Dog, and I've never talked to him. I don't know him, whatever, but I love his videos. Because all he does is make fun of the Googans or whatever. And he talks about, like, he's got all these one-liners that are, like, classic, but one of them talks about going out and busting a dozen right in front of him. That's what he says. I'm going to go bust a dozen right in front of him or something like that. But just, he does it way better than me, obviously. But he's hilarious. He's a fishing guide down there. So yeah, check out Lunker Dog. It's worth the visit. The entertainment value's there.
I'll have to check that one out.
But he catches a lot of snook and redfish and tarpon and stuff like that.
Those are all fish that I want to catch.
I have hooked 3 tarpon and got beat up every time. One of them was like legendary, like how bad he beat me up. I was fishing for Spanish mackerel, and I was using a lure called a gotcha plug, which is basically a piece of lead that's as big around as a pencil, an inch and a half, 2 inches long. It's heavy. It casts a long ways, so you can reach out and touch them. And it's got a lip on it that's angled down, so you reel it literally as fast as you can. Mm-hmm. And when you're reeling it in, you rip the rod the whole time, so it darts back and forth. Anyway, so I'd reeled it the whole way, and I was getting ready to lift it out of the water, and I felt a thud, like I'm walleye fishing, like thump. Because when Spanish mackerel hit it, it's not a thump. Your reel just starts screaming. Well, this was a thump, and I set the hook. And as soon as I set the hook, and I was on a jetty, this tarpon erupts out of the water, longer than I am tall. It had a mouth like a 5-gallon bucket, and my lure is stuck right in the corner of his mouth. And instinctively, when he jumped, I bowed, and he was close enough I could have reached out and smacked him on the butt, like from me to the end of this table. And he jumps, I bow, and then he runs and jumps, I bow. He runs and jumps, I bow. And on the third time, I'm like, why am I bowing? I want this fish to throw the hook. And literally before that thought escaped my mind, he put the afterburners on and spooled 200 yards of 30-pound braid.
Oh, damn.
In less than 30 seconds. My fishing reel started smoking. Like there was smoke exiting my reel. And the cap, I tried to tighten down the drag cap, and it flew off. So I cupped the reel with my hand, and I had blisters on my hand. Damn. Afterwards. It was insane. And then it hit the end of the knot, and the knot broke, and he was gone.
That sucks.
Just like that.
But you got to see it.
I did. And it is permanently ingrained in my mind forever.
Those are the moments.
That was back in the saltwater days when I didn't think more than a week ahead on my finances.
Was that your college days?
This was right after. Yeah. In my college days, I spent my summers living in Brownsville, making some trips to Florida. And then once I graduated and got a job and decided I needed to be financially considerate, I did one more trip, and I stayed on a deserted island for 6 days. Wow. And that was pretty sweet. And that was on that trip. I need to do that again. My buddy who I went with, Chris, me and him message back pretty consistently. He'll catch a catfish because he lives in Ohio and travels for that stuff too. We met fishing on the beach, and he goes back every year. And every year he goes, he's like, dude, you should meet us. You should meet us. And every year I'm like, I should, but can I justify spending that much money to do it? But in reality, it's a pretty cheap trip. Your main expenses are just getting there.
Where's the best place or I guess you can say the closest saltwater that's close to Central?
It's all about the same. It's all like 20 hours.
Yeah, 20 hours. We're smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. I'm like,
because you're closer to the east than west.
Yeah,
and then you're about as far from west as you are south. So it all comes out to about the same. Actually, I'd say you're further from like the Massachusetts, or not Massachusetts, but the Jersey coast. You're further from that than you are Florida. So I think Pennsylvania is like 20 hours away. Then you got to go through Pennsylvania to get to the coast.
Okay. Texas, have you been on?
Yeah, Brownsville's in Texas. That's
Yeah,
where I spend my summers.
I feel like Texas would be the closest, but then Texas is huge too.
Say South Padre is the very southern tip, and I've done that drive several times, and it from central Iowa to South Padre, counting gas stops and restroom breaks, it comes out to about 25, 26 hours. You look at GPS and it's not that long, but it comes out to about 25, 26 hours. It's fun. If you're going to go that far, go to Florida though. Texas is cool. Texas has seasonal opportunities, but Florida has, as soon as it gets warm, like spring through fall, you have all kinds of different stuff you can do. And there's winter opportunities too, but spring through fall, some cool stuff you can catch down there. Panhandle and South Texas.
We could do a podcast down there, kid.
On the beach.
That'd be cool.
Dude,
that would be
badass.
Yeah. You have to deal with a little more wind.
That's true.
But other than that, and sand and everything. Sand gets in everything. If you want to camp on the beach, it sounds so majestic and wonderful.
Until you do
but you're going to have sand in every orifice of your body.
Yeah, like McConaughey. You've heard of Lake McConaughey.
Out west in Nebraska.
Yeah, in Nebraska. Like, that's one lake I want to camp out at because, they got beaches. But I'm thinking like, man, that sand though. Because they got like fine grained sand out there.
Tip of the day. And this is coming from a longtime beach camper. Get a paintbrush.
Paintbrush.
And when you go to bed, you brush the sand off.
Makes sense.
Yeah, you get sand on you brush it off your feet before you get in your tent.
Oh, yeah,
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And don't bring a tent. Get a tent cot. Because a tent, you put the stakes in, they don't do anything in the sand. Yeah. But if you have a tent cot, you just keep all your stuff in it and weigh it down, and it ain't going nowhere. Unless a giant tropical storm hits, which I had happen, and 50 mile an hour flips your tent cot over, and it rolls down the beach like a cottonweed, or not a tumbleweed.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
And then you
Cot
get
tent.
tent cot.
Tent cot.
Yeah,
Tent cot.
that's what they're called.
Oh.
I feel like you could call it a cot tent, and it would have got the gist across just as
There you
well.
go. Yeah. Actually, you never been to McConaughey in Nebraska?
No.
We got.
If you like big walleyes and big wipers, which I know you do.
I do.
Yeah.
Big. I mean, the wipers that you catch there, because they have a limit. Okay, so we live in Central Iowa. No limit on wipers. Lake McConaughey in Nebraska, they have a two wiper limit, and that's because every wiper you catch, about 9 times out of 10, double digits.
Really?
Yeah, and we went there a couple years ago because my brother-in-laws, they live in Denver, Colorado,
Right.
and they know about this because it's a 3.5 hour drive for them, and they would go there all the time. So they told us, hey, we'll meet there one day, and we got a cabin, whatnot, and make a family trip. And literally, the walleyes there were, I forgot, most of the walleyes you would catch are 21 inches or more.
Yeah, like
20.
a small one would be like a 20 incher.
Yeah.